Player of the match performance from Alex Iwobi. And while Fulham are still to get their first win of this very new season, have you seen enough to be encouraging for them for the rest of the season? Alex Iwobi talked there about their target being just to improve on what they did last season.
I think there is a good sign. There is a element where Marco Silva can bring them forward. There is definitely quality there. They've shown it regularly now. They need to get more points. That's obvious. But in a way, it's against the team that they expect to win. You know, there is moments where they have like great performances against big teams like Man United, where Liverpool and all those teams they managed to do that last year. But they're right. I think they have concede goals. They have like obviously show a bit of moment during the games where they off a bit and they get punished. So they need to be a bit more clinical again.
So Amarim's impressed with the level of work, even if, Louis, it's not quite what he's asking them to do just yet. He said sometimes, you know, they're working hard, but in the wrong way. But there were suggestions that there were improvements last week, despite the defeat by Arsenal. There were certainly signs that there were improvements this week in this performance at times against Fulham. Are there signs that things are moving in the right direction under Amarim?
I think so. There is the right communication. He's very honest. He says what he sees, and I like the kind of clear vision that he's got. He's got a clear vision. Yes, they are in a process, so things not going to be understood by everybody. There is mistakes going to be made and all that. So I like this process. He still have young players, especially the forward position. Last year it was a bit of difficulty to manage that because you have to teach them and at the same time you have to show confidence. Now, I think we saw there is like links coming. You know, it's strength coming. There is courage in taking certain type of position, but yes, they're still lacking that dominance in midfield. That's why I think you'll be highlighted that. There is elements where the position of the striker is going to be very decisive. I think we need to play in a way where the two playmakers are a bit narrow. They can give a bit more, you know, creativity or whatever, but they need to really like be together in all the moment of the game. This is why I think he's unhappy. Sometimes they slow down the kind of like speed and get exposed because teams are fit as well. They are committed as well. And they need to really put them at a level where they're struggling physically or whatever. And that's not the case. So that's why he's not happy. That's why he's frustrated. And he thinks that they can do better. So yes, they score a goal, but that's not enough. Man United need to do more and to upset and to score a second goal and third goal. And this is the situation they are in. I think in a way, I like what he's trying to improve or try to address, and then I think he's coming.
It was quite a big topic of conversation last season that Amarim actually wanted to come in the summer. He didn't want to come in mid-season. He's now had a transfer window. It's now much more looking like his group of players, and we're not at the end of that transfer window yet. Is this almost a clean slate for him, the start of this season, or are we still judging him on what went on last season as well?
I think it's a clean slate. You know, like you said, he come in halfway through the season and it wasn't when he wanted to come in. He's had a summer transfer window. Obviously, there's still time to do a few more dealings. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I think once the window shuts, then you know this is his team. And like Louis has been saying there, that you've got to take positives out of what we've seen, especially like the manager saying in the first 20 minutes how they started the game, and they started quick, and Fulham didn't know what to do. But it's just then when you go a goal up, especially when you come to Craven Cottage, you need to go and get the second goal. You need to kill the game off. And they wasn't able to do that. So it's still a bit of indifference there, but there's like I say, there's positives to take. And, you know, we spoke about, you know, if you're going to have Sesko up top, the big target man, you've got to have two number 10s that want to run off him and, you know, get him behind. We haven't stretched the pitch enough. And, you know, I think Fulham felt comfortable when, you know, he come on, that there wasn't really much running him behind. And, you know, I think fitness tells us as well that Fulham looked like they went up a gear and United literally just sat there. And, you know, when you're doing that and you come to a place like Craven Cottage, it's going to be tough. So it was there was positives in the game, and I'm sure the manager will take positives out of it. And, you know, like you say, it's a clean slate, but, you know, it's about getting the wins and moving forward and scoring goals.
If they do add more in the transfer window, where do you think they're going to be looking to strengthen? Obviously, the goalkeeper situation needs to be sorted out, but do they need to strengthen in midfield, for example, as well?
I think so. This is why I think they've been in the transfer market looking for some Brighton player, just to mention. They need power. They need people who are able to take on the ball, maybe suck the opposition, whatever, like technically, but physically as well. There is moments in the game where you need that. You really need that aggression, but at the same time, that confidence to actually drive on and show that you are dominant. I don't think that we have that at the moment. It's been said not only by me, but I think that's obvious. And then it's all about attitude. I think the approach of the game, where they're saying there is maybe sometimes where they think about the results, whatever the approach, need to be a bit more courageous and say, no, we have a style, we have the confidence to score more, and this is where they need to get that level up. It's not about new players or new sign or whatever. It's about this attitude and showing that we are good enough, and we're going to do that for 95 minutes.
Louis said a Brighton player. Would Baleba or someone like him be the answer for Manchester United?
I think you do need someone else in that midfield. I think Casemiro was in there today. Bruno Fernandes was in there, and then, when it was changed, it was Bruno Fernandes and Mason Mount, and Alex Iwobi was picking up pockets of space that they couldn't track, and there was midfield runners that were running off where you need a midfielder if the centre backs are picking up the Fulham forwards, then you've got track midfielders there, and it just looked like there was spaces opening up. Whether it's a mentality thing that you've got to pass that on and talk to each other and help each other out, but I think there's going to be some more movement in this transfer window, and I think Man United do need a midfielder that can play as well as defend, can get up and down the pitch, and if it's that player from Brighton, then possibly he might be the answer.
And at the same time, you just like to look at what Amorim has said about the frustration of Bruno Fernandes. We've seen it. I think he was like middle of the park, trying to controlling the game. It was a bit deeper than he usually is. And you could see his body language was saying, I would love to be involved a bit further up. And then I think a player alongside him who some moment can show, he say, go on, I've got the confidence and I'm going to actually take care of those situations and create some transition for you to create. And at the moment, that's not the case.
Louis, tell me a bit more about the integration of Šeško. You've both mentioned him. You both mentioned how Manchester United are going to need to adapt to that and what he's going to need. How much of it is about him learning how to play with that team, them learning how to provide for him? Because 25 minutes against Arsenal, 37 minutes today, it's hard to adapt to him if he's not playing.
Yeah, it is hard, but it's a process. You have to believe the understanding of the manager. He sees you, he understands the kind of need that you have to, when you come from another championship, it's not the same. The Premier League is really tough. I was saying about the welcome package that I receive. You get bullied, you get all those things, and you have to really understand. And by being in Man United, it's not the same. You really have to understand there is pressure coming, there is expectation, all this, and you have to learn when everybody is asking a result, asking goals and statistics. So it's a process, and I think the manager understands that. He tries to get not the same mistake that maybe he's done with Rasmus. It's not him, but there is element where those players need experience. I always felt like, back in 2 years ago, I was thinking about Harry Kane. Those type of player was able to really teach you like a lot of things, but his movement and all that. So I think in this situation where if the transfer market is closed and they don't have another addition up the field, I think he has to go with a few games like this where he's brought in, put confidence, he has some nice touches. I really feel like he can create a partnership with those two playmakers just behind him. I think he needs to be closer, and then I think we will see chances.
And as you said, it doesn't look like it's worked out with Rasmus Højlund, not involved in the squad today. The AC Milan deal isn't happening, but Napoli, the latest team to be linked with him. But for Šeško, and you talked about statistics, 16 touches, only one of them in the Fulham penalty area. Is that down to him not making the runs or him not expecting that the balls are going to be coming into him? A combination?
I think it is a combination. He's only been in there a couple of weeks, so he's got to learn a new team, a new style of play, I think, because it would have been different to the club he was at before. Ruben Amorim's going to expect a lot, and like Louis said, when you join a club like Manchester United, there's so much expectation, there's so much noise outside. It's starting to learn what players do, the runs that they do, and it's a formation where if you're the target man, you're going to need runners off you. And we said that. We said we need the number 10s to be either running behind or getting round him. I think at the time when he come on in the game as well, Man United were on the back foot, and Fulham has started to grow more and more into the game. So it was difficult, it was tough, but everybody's seen what he can do, everyone's seen what he can produce. It's just learning more in training, getting to know the players even more, and then showing his capabilities and his abilities on the pitch.
So is that cleared up? Bruno Fernandes saying it did affect him, and you talked earlier, Louis, about small margins in football, and just when you've got that penalty taking routine, it can be something that small that may put a player off their stride. But you talked as well about the fact that he needs support in midfield, that he needs, it's not just about him producing these big moments, as he has done so many times, these important goals for Manchester United. Other players need to be taking responsibility as well.
It is the truth. So many times he has been the saver, able to actually create in difficult moments where he was pressing, when he was trying to do the leadership and all those things. So we're asking a lot. And what has been sometimes the focus, it was about this kind of behavior. Lack of maybe calmness in a very important moment. So I do think that it's something that is part of his game. I remember playing with Wayne Rooney, and you can't calm those players. It's part of their almost DNA and what they need to fire, to have that creativity. So it's something I won't say to him, don't do this, don't do that. No. I think it's more about him to understand there is moment for that. There is those calmness. It's where when you have this ability, you have this expectation from everybody, and those moments where you have a need of reset, your own reset. So basically, it felt like bumped or something like this, pop, a reset, and then you are very focused. You know your quality. You have been doing it for many years. Bang, bang, it's in the goal, and that's it. And it's something that's easy to say on the mic, but I think he's got the quality to do that. And there is definitely other players who can came and have this confidence and showing that he's not the focus all the time. As we remember, I remember Paul Pogba was the focus every time, even if he was on the stand, and we were at his back. And I think that's the pressure of Man United all the time. It's always about the best player, always about who is the leader, and I think that's something that he has learned, and he has to cope with it.
Louis, there was a lot that was familiar about that Fulham side, not least because they only made one signing over the summer, that was the goalkeeper Bernd Leno, but also this ability to bring substitutes on who will change the game for them. Emile Smith-Rowe scored 94 seconds after coming on. Just talk to me a little bit about Marco Silva's in-game management of his team.
I think when you look at what he has brought to Fulham is the kind of capacity to play really slick football. They know how to pass the ball, especially when I was very impressed with Andre Pereira over the years. And now they have this confidence, really, from the back, from the midfield. They have the power, the size, those guys. It's not, I used to play with Luis Boamorte, with Barriers, who are not that big. And now they are the unit. And so they have the great balance, and at the same time they brought some players who really can finish. So I thought that's his style, and I really managed to get those consistency through the season. You don't feel that they don't play with that same spirit, and this is where I think that they need to keep going and probably find that belief again to not lose those games where sometimes, as I said, they miss 20 minutes and they get punished. And I think that where you can hear his confidence. He can communicate very strongly and very efficiently with those players, and he works really well.
And also, just to pick up on a point that Louis made earlier on, which is that they have this ability to put in really good performances and get really good results against teams that they wouldn't be expected to get those points again. Yeah,
of course. And I think you look at today's game, obviously, the man just said that the first 15, 20 minutes, they weren't really in the game, but you look at the way they played, and Louis just said then, they're playing out from the back, they're playing through the lines, they're getting players on the ball that can hurt teams, and like you say, when you got a Fulham team that come up against teams, Manchester United's, Liverpool's, Chelsea's, whoever it is, they're going toe to toe with them, and they're not changing their style. They wanted to go out and play in a way where they want to have the ball, they want to have possession, and they've got people that can score that are on the pitch. They've got players that come off the bench, which you saw again today, that can score. And it's a team game, and it's like you say, when you've got that confidence in your teammates to to go out there week in, week out and go and produce. You know, this Fulham team, they're dangerous on their day, and I think we saw that again today.
Earlier today, it was party time in Liverpool at Hill Dickinson Stadium, where Everton crowned their first performance with a 2-0 victory against Brighton. Iliman Ndiaye with the first of them, the assist provided by Jack Grealish, a second assist for him, the first time he's done that in a Premier League game for 3 years, and that came from James Garner, who hasn't scored in 2 years. All in all, a fantastic day for Everton at their new stadium. Very strong from David Moyes there. Definitely business will be done. What do you think they need?
Well, he's obviously looked at the squad and he's like, we want to maybe get more players in all positions. You know, you've seen the players they've brought in so far that have, you know, been attacking players. They've obviously brought in a left back, but maybe he wants to add some more competition to the squad. And you know, it's always good to have, you know, numbers and squad players and everyone fighting and the competition. That's what you want. You want in the squad, everybody fighting, having that competition to want to be in that starting lineup. So. You know, like I said there, he was very quick to say that there's going to be definitely more additions. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
They were one of a few sides to struggle for goals last season, Everton. And I wonder if, you know, the addition of the likes of Grealish and those kind of attacking players and giving them the freedom to play in that system has helped them in terms of their creativity.
Yes, because when you have David Moyes as a manager, you know that basically your defense and your midfield is going to be strong, compact. The creation of chances is maybe sometimes a problem, but you have to pick some players who are able to create their own chances. Obviously, be with a very good conversion, because you don't have many situations like this, so you really have to do that. But I think, from what I've seen, you know, Jack Grealish is some solution, but they need more. They need speed. They need maybe a bit of a complementarity, because the similar profile with Beto and now the Barry, I think he's shown some really good quality, good sign that he can link up with other players. But I think I understand why David Moyes over the years always wanted to have like two, pretty much like every position, as Ashley said.
And look, for David Moyes, he has to look to the future, because he knows that atmosphere is only going to be maintained if the results and the performances are still there in a few weeks, in a few months' time. But to start life in Hill Dickinson Stadium with a 2-0 victory, and to put in that kind of performance, to have Jack Grealish so heavily involved, how big a win was that? How great a start to life in their new home?
I think when he was sat there last night thinking about the game today, you know, he would have taken that all day. I think the players, the way the performance was, you know, like you say, the new signings coming in and adding to what was already there. And, you know, for Jack Grealish getting the assist, you know, it's about building confidence. We said football's about confidence, the confidence game. So, you know, obviously getting the assist, Iliman Ndiaye scoring the goal as well.
Last
Barry,
one at Goodison, first one at the new stadium.
New stadium. Yeah. So, you know, confidence is going to be sky high. And like you say, it can only work so long if you're putting on performances on the pitch. So, you know, they've got to keep doing that. They've got to keep working. Like you say, Dave Moyes wants 2 players in each position, so you know, I'm sure there's going to be additions, but if they could keep performing in that way, you know, not just at home, away from home as well, it could be a totally different season than what we've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and it's just, today was feel-good factor just all the way. There was a Jordan Pickford penalty save in all of that as well.
Everything, the scenario is perfect. You could see even some players went to the fans and try to really like fire up. It's brilliant, and this is what they need, because if they build something special in that stadium, I'm sure I would be very surprised that teams comes and feel like it's going to be a runner park. It's not going to be possible. So I do think that Everton has to avoid what they have experienced in the last 3 or 4 years, because it's been horrific for the fans. They don't deserve that. It's a great club, great city. So I just can't wait for the derby soon.
Hey, it's coming. It's coming, and it's going to be potentially a whole different ball game when they're playing in their new stadium.
Someone is laughing here.
Well, elsewhere today, it finished 1-1 between Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest. The game that was dubbed the Battle of the Boardroom because of the row they had with UEFA over which European competition the sides will be playing in next season. Crystal Palace went ahead in the game, Ismaila Sarr with the goal for them, but then Nottingham Forest came back into it in the second half. Their goal scored by Callum Hudson-Odoi, and it ended all square in that game. He has moved today to try and put to bed any of those rumours. He said that he wants to stay on as Nottingham Forest manager. He said he thinks that that they can work together. That's what he's hoping to do with Marinakis and with Edu. He also said in his press conference earlier in the week, where there's smoke, there's fire. So it seems to have either his view on it has shifted or the situation has shifted over the last few days. Is there a way in which this can be resolved? Can you see a situation in which Nuno stays on as manager?
I think the only thing Nuno can do is take the team and take positives out of games. Winning games. You look at last season, what he did for that club. You don't understand why this has come about so early on in the season. If anything was to change, then you would have thought it would happen before the season has started, and give him a window to get transfers in as well. So it's a strange situation, and I don't know how it's going to play out. I'm sure Nuno was speaking there, and we heard him saying that he wants the job, and the only way to sort it out is obviously to talk and keep things together between him, the owner, and Edu. So. I think there's going to be a conversation. There has to be a conversation. It's going to be talked about, and hopefully things will get ironed out and sorted out quickly rather than later.
Because this is a conversation, Louis, that has been going on since at least the summer. That's when people first started to be aware that there was a possibility that, despite the seventh place finish, that maybe not qualifying for the Champions League could put Nuno Espirito Santo's future at Forest in doubt.
That's a crazy situation about football nowadays. The expectation, sometimes, as I said, the conversation you can have in boardrooms are unrealistic sometimes. It comes from a manager knowing exactly his type of players, how long it's going to take. The process is not as, as mathematical. So all this is a conversation. And yes, Edu know is football. The owner, I'm sure that he knows, he's a very passionate guy. There is a lot of elements where you can have like compromise. You have to understand that the club need to go forward, especially after a great season where they've done so many good things together. The fans get behind the manager. So why disrupting that? It's just a matter of like having man conversation and making sure that everything that is toxic, that is negative, should be put on the side. And that's not easy, but it does not mean that it's impossible.
Actually, we need to ask you about Ipswich as well and how things are going there. Look, the results haven't been ideal at the start of the season. How have the performances been?
Performances have been good. We spoke after the game yesterday, obviously a 1-0 defeat, but we had all the possession. We created more chances, and it's just something that's missing. It's just a win that we need to get ourselves going. But the performances have been good. Of course, when we first started against Birmingham away, it was going to be tough. We knew the atmosphere was going to be tough, and the Birmingham fans took to me pretty well. But it's one of them things that we look at ourselves after yesterday's game, and everybody looks at themselves and takes account for it. It's a fantastic squad. It's a great group of players, a great group of staff, and we're all in it together. We know what we've got to do. We get back on the training pitch from next week, and we go full throttle when it comes to the next game, which is Derby at home, and the home fans are fantastic. So we want to go out there and give them a performance which they're due, and a performance where we get ourselves a win and finally get our season started.
And at 40, you're still feeling good?
I am, yeah, just about. I was saying to Louis, then, I'm 40. What am I doing? But because I can still get around the pitch and I can still play, and I've still got that hunger, that desire, and that competitive nature to want to win. So I'm still there. I'm giving everything I can in training every day, and I give my experience to the players and even some of the staff as well. So I'm enjoying it.